And this week it even got worse. I don't know what happened this week to Norton and Cathy Hughes. It's like they decide to fight themselves. Imagine fighting themselves. First, Norton, Cathy Hughes talked about the debt, that the PPP debt was high and it will put the choke around our children's future. Our debt ratio is at 37%. Cathy Hughes never mentioned that their debt ratio was 74%, double what we have right now. So she's fighting something today, forgetting where she and our colleagues took our government. They were $147 billion overdraft. Our national reserves in Bank of Guyana was almost wiped out. Our economy was stagnated. Taxes were 200 plus, more than ever had, ever in this nation. PPP came in and had to fix all of those, what I just described. So they were fighting. Then Norton read a report from the World Bank that said Guyana is a poverty-stricken nation. And then, when you read the report, it was 2019. The World Bank was reporting on the stagnation of our economy and where Guyana was in 2019. If you look at the numbers today, it's vastly different. And Dr. Singh outlined that in his narrative when he explained the report of 2019. So Norton and Cathy Hughes decide to fight at themselves, because fighting at the PPP is not getting them anywhere. They're not making any progress whatsoever. Their rhetoric is very, very weak. Last week I said if Granger had to appoint Norton as a minister, and note, he didn't, but if he had to appoint Norton as a minister, Norton's title would have been Senior Minister of Stupidity with responsibility for foolishness, because every day he comes up with areas that doesn't even equate to leadership of an opposition party, a president in waiting, the definition of all. For example, Norton called for Guyana to get the Dutch disease. And how did he do that? He said, the president who said that he's going to concentrate on agriculture, he's going to concentrate on ecotourism, he's going to concentrate on the services sector. Norton, Senior Minister of Stupidity and with responsibility for foolishness, said he must be mad or something of that effect, that the president should focus only on oil. Oil should be our economy. Well, we know countries around the world that discarded their other industries and just focus on oil. What has happened to them? You can look up your internet right now, and that's the definition of the Dutch disease. So why would the PNC supporters want to elect a man like Norton that never got any ministerial role in the PNC government, whether it's under Hoyt, no senior leadership in the PNC, and no leadership position basically under the Granger administration, to put somebody in there and listen to them? He would never get to office, but at least don't even listen to what he is describing as the Dutch disease. And there's no way our president is going to allow the Dutch disease to ever come close to Guyana. But I will take a second to understand the framework that our president has put together. He has defined the nation in terms of what are all the ingredients in nation building. Guyana has always been a diversified economy. Under that, Dr. Jagdeo, as president, the economy grew 4.8% on mining, forestry, agriculture, ICT, tourism. Guyana was solid in growing at a 4.8% growth. It would have been difficult to grow at a faster rate because there was not other enabling factors. So we had to manage our economy by every line. You have to make sure you know what you're doing. Dr. Jagdeo held our nation together at a 4.8% GDP growth. Granger government came in, stagnated our economy. As I mentioned, 200 plus taxes, fired 7,000 sugar workers, had no investment coming into our nation, took their 50% pay increases, spent, our debt increased 74% to GDP. Their reserves were down to minimum. Overdraft was 147 billion. And so they brought the economy to a standstill. President Ali and his administration came into office, had to repair those things immediately. Reverse 200 taxes. Reopen the sugar industry. We continue to diversify, we continue to hire. We went in and found that most of the equipment was gone. They stripped these facilities. Imagine sugar held our economy for so long. It brought in foreign exchange. It was an employment derivative of our nation. So the lack of understanding, when you listen again to Cathy Hughes and Norton try to come up with a plan of what they will do if they had responsibility again, which they will never have again, because our vote will count, our democratic right will count, and we'll continue to support leadership with a vision and courage. But our economy now in the frame, the president has decided to modernize these known industries. So oil and gas is what he titles the enabling factor. So if you put this book together, this framework of a nation moving from a stagnated economy in 2019, 2020 to a booming economy today and in the future, 57% growth this year. Next year is going to be a significant growth, and it all means something to us, even when you hear the big numbers, and I will explain that in a second. So the framework is you've got to modernize the agriculture sector. How are we doing that? You saw Minister of Agriculture was in Kokwani this weekend, and in Linden and Naituni, Berbice last week, where he's looking at new initiatives, ensuring shade houses, given our climate change and our weather patterns, looking at hydroponic farming, where you may grow vertical in some areas, looking at the aqua farming, fishes in a tank, all new ways of agri-tech in looking at our agriculture sector. And as we define that agriculture sector with 25% by 2025, the more we grow, the more the market will be there for us. So the initiatives, again, of our president's vision of modernizing the agriculture sector. We know our mining industry, our natural resources is booming. Apart from oil and gas, we've got millions of ounces of gold untouched that is being looked at right now. We've got the gas to shore coming to go at another sector, the energy sector, to reduce our energy costs and have more efficient and reliable power. That's a goal we know have been for decades. We are going to solve that with the gas to shore. The Amalia Falls will go back out to bid in 2023. We have done the off-grid solar farms across the country, looking at other sources of renewable power. The Vice President announced this week a big initiative, 30 million tons of carbon will be on the market. Guyana is net zero. We're carbon negative. No matter how much oil we take out, we will always be carbon negative. And the fact that our carbon now is worth money. He actually did it with the Norway deal back in his time. He's now revised that LCDS strategy to 2030 and is about to launch a worldwide initiative that puts Guyana again on the map. When the world sees that Guyana has carbon for sale, and even if we sell our carbon, we're not even hurting our own emissions. Folks, you've got to be proud that you're a Guyanese citizen. The fact that we are working to make the benefit of all of us. Guyana is on the move, is on a trajectory of growth. I keep harping on a topic of don't get left behind. What the Vice President said the other day too was a profound statement. He said, every one of us have an equal opportunity based on what is happening across the country. If we want equal outcome, you then have to work at that. If you're going to grow more food, if you are going to be in the services sector, if you're going to be in the mining sector, how do you allow the equal opportunity that we're all getting in order for us to get an equal outcome? So it's very important that you understand the framework of Dr. Ali and his vision of nation building. In that, as I mentioned earlier in the program, the foundation of democracy and accountability and transparency is the foundation. And as you look at the components now of what citizens need in our country, the healthcare, as I mentioned, 7 new hospitals, upgrading of all our healthcare facilities across the country, training of new nurses and doctors, ensuring drugs and medication is available across the nation, roads, access to, getting your children to school, not having to walk in the mud. All are things that every day we are looking forward to. And then, public servants, salary increases that will come again in the end of close to probably in weeks, the Vice President mentioned. So the framework continues up. And then he goes and builds every sector. So again, you have the house going up, the foundation, the mandatory things government must do. And then you look at the agriculture sector. What is the modernization of those sectors? How do we revitalize the sugar industry? How do we diversify that sugar industry, more refined sugar versus selling the bulk sugar, which is not as profitable in the market anymore? Refined sugar, how do we move to ethanol? How do we convert the sugarcane raw material to biomass and other initiatives that goes with the sugar industry? The goal is to put people back to work. We, in that sector alone, in the agriculture sector, we are expanding on the forestry sector. 900 million revolving fund. What does that do to those loggers? You're now able to go borrow money to ensure that you can continue your logging business. That is input from government, guaranteeing 300 million of that 900 million, 4% rate at the banks. Banks now feel more comfortable in ensuring that the forestry sector revives. Even on the personal side, we've got the sand and cement initiative that government has outlined. We've got, Minister Vindi going around the country looking at disability and looking at, helping those with disabilities with a cash grant, with those that need, wheelchairs, Soren and Kokwani. I mean, out there looking at the social services. You look at other sectors in ICT. We are pushing hard on call centers and back office processing. You saw, those who know about Qualfund and Teleperformance and ITEL and Express International, Midas in Linden, many more out there, all hiring. There are about 7,000, 8,000 seats, about to grow to about 15,000 seats in the very near future. So you're getting out of high school, you're out of university, you're looking for your first job. Look at these areas because it's a very good starting pay. The ICT sector is going to grow. So that's another pillar that the president has as a focus. Sorry, Norton, it's not about oil. It's not going to the Dutch disease. It's not about foolishness. It's not about stupidity. It's about success, and it's about a plan with measurable results. So the ICC sector, as I mentioned, is being expanded. Another sector that we're concentrating on significantly is the ecotourism sector, another pillar of our president's plan to bring our economy where everyone have that equal opportunity and every one of us have a chance to look at an equal outcome. So the tourism sector, we were voted number 13 of 35 best places to visit in 2023. We've known the British Airways coming to Guyana. You see, Suriname Airways just announced extra flights for the Christmas holidays. We are in discussion with many other major worldwide airlines coming to our nation. So tourism is another significant sector our president is modernizing, concentrating on. We have 7 hotels in construction right now, all branded hotels. We've got unbranded hotels by our local providers also going right up in front of our eyes. The tourism sector, the twinning of the products between Barbados and Guyana, sand and jungle. So again, I started with understanding the framework of our president, and as you listen to all of it, again the question is, where do you fit? You know, if you get sidetracked by Norton, and you get sidetracked by Burke, and I'll get to that in a second, then you are missing out on where these opportunities are. You know, other sectors, you know, we know that are being looked at. The energy sector. The Vice President announced the RFP for 30,000 barrel refinery. What does that do to Guyana? And why is it important to Guyana? Energy security is important for national security. Prosperous Guyana, self-sufficient Guyana is important for national security of our nation. As I mentioned at the start of the program, we have a president with a vision, courage of his conviction, understanding of the people's needs of our nation, and he continues to implement those plans. You know, as we build out the 2.5 years, and you look at what has been done as we go into the Christmas holidays, what has been done to Guyana in the 2+ years in office. We have to ensure, and I repeat some of the distraction just to make sure you understand why the distraction should not allow you not to focus on the future of our nation and where you fit. You know, this week we saw the Attorney General of New York City stepped out of her role and decided she's going to hit at a sovereign nation. Totally out of whack. I don't know why she would listen to one man that her opponent now calls, a criminal and a wanted man. And the point there, and whether it's a congressman or whether it's a hype, when we talk about racism and people have race-based politics, and they use race as the starting point of a conversation, all of us in Guyana and around the world, all Guyanese around the world, need to tell them to stop it. We are past that stage. Our future is right now. Our future has arrived. We're not living in the past. In the dictatorship days, if there were racism at the time, there was. I felt it. I knew it. We have moved from that to, again, equal opportunity. Equal opportunity. All of us have to then work on as the Vice President said, equal outcome. So don't get distracted by the negative comments that, seems now that the opposition, and I don't know about Kaichor News, I mean, it is why to have an opposite to government. So if the president or vice president or the prime minister or the minister of finance say something, you then see Patterson and Cathy Hughes, all ex-ministers that failed our nation, jump up and says, this is what should have been done. Cathy Hughes says we shouldn't have 34% to GDP debt. She forgot that they had 74%. Right, so Kaichor News then covers all of it. It doesn't make sense. And Kaichor News knows that it is not fact-based data. Even when they published the report from the World Bank, they did not even research to know it was 2019. Any one of us could have looked at the website and saw the report was 2019. The report came out late, I think because of COVID. It was never published. They're now catching up. Sad that the World Bank puts out old reports like that. Should have never happened, but they did. But it validated the failure of the Granger administration. And the fact that Norton, the minister, senior minister of stupidity with responsibility for foolishness, will repeat an argument that doesn't even exist today. It shows the incompetence of what this management of the PNC is today. The young folks out there are aligning to the vision. If you are a PNC supporter today, or an APNU or an AFC supporter, and you look at where your life is today, where it was in 2020 and where it was between 2015 to 2020, as I mentioned in every program, I will make a bet with you that your life has gotten better. You have the opportunity now to succeed. Our programs in housing, renewing the dream for all of us, new house lots every day being given out, new professional homes, low-income homes being given out. And imagine when I talk about low-income homes, Norton, again, this week, they woke up fighting themselves of the past. He said, call these houses chicken coops. Sad. When Granger administration built just a few of these houses, their housing program is almost zero. And all they built, somehow Norton drove by and saw them and thought they were PPP built houses. Again, they woke up this week, couldn't fight the PPP anymore because it's not getting anywhere. We are on a growth trajectory. We are on a path with a plan. We have our manifesto to deliver on to our people. And we will continue to do that under the leadership of Dr. Ali. And Norton, the best thing for you to do, you're right, is maybe I should apologize. I think you should fight among yourselves and fight at yourselves because it's not getting anywhere. So a lot of negative remarks coming out of the opposition. Elections is coming up in March. For local government election, the PPP has announced that they are contesting in every region, every area, every NDC, every city. We are going to elections, very confident. And I think that scares the heck out of Norton. It scares the heck out of the commissioners of GCOM for APNU. Because now they want to try to delay elections. They know what happened in 2018. They were wiped out. They know what's going to happen in 2023. So the best argument for themselves and the fear, when you look in Norton's eyes and the fear in Cathy Yu's eyes that they don't have a grasp of what it takes to run a city, to run an NDC. They failed at running the country. Scares the heck out of them. So what they're trying to do now is come up with plans or reasons why not to go to elections, about a bloated list. They went to 2011, 2015, 2020. Now suddenly they don't want to lose again. So they're saying that they're not going to go to election. Their GCOM commissioners are going through the rigmarole again. We can actually know and predict what they will say when the time comes closer to the election date. But for every citizen of Guyana, if you live in one of these cities, towns in our nation, you're going to local polls for NDCs and other bodies, look around your community. Join with the leaders. Be part of that discussion. Be part of the input. When the president visited Tuckville this week, although many things are happening in the area, there were 2 or 3 things that folks wanted a little faster. That's okay. He was able to hear and to facilitate something to happen much faster than it probably would have happened. That's what outreaches do. That's why ministers at every level of government are going around our nation looking at what needs to get done. As I mentioned, the Minister of Agriculture is in Region 10 right now talking about shade houses, looking at fertilizer and new seeds and a new land for pastures and cattle rearing, all because the need for food security around the world is going to be important. We are self-sustained in our food. We know we can grow our backyard and we can have food to live on even as the world suffers. But we want to help other nations. And so our goal is to ensure food security for our country and to ensure that we become an exporter of fresh fruits and vegetables and agriculture products across the world. And what that does, it brings more money to you. So you need to look at how you can be part of that initiative and how you can grow more food as part of our national campaign. So as these outreaches take place, you have that opportunity to join the One Guyana. Again, our president would look you straight in the eye and he would tell you, no matter who you vote for, no matter who you will vote for, he is going to give you that equal opportunity. He is going to ensure every program of government comes to your area. He is going to ensure that wealth and prosperity, every Guyanese get a chance to benefit. He will not follow Norton stupidity guidelines of the Dutch disease and just concentrate on oil and gas. We will use oil and gas as an enabling factor to ensure your lives are better through what you do best. So if we had followed Norton's idea of concentrating on oil and gas, then we got to get all of you, try to pack you in a boat and try to get you to the FPSO to work there so you can benefit. There's only so many engineers out there on the FPSOs. The oil industries only provide a certain level of employment. What you have to do with the oil revenues and earnings is to ensure you put it back into the programs, modernize your industries, ensure that schools and roads and hospitals are done. Make sure your ports are developed so you can import and export more rapidly. Make sure your connectivity with the wider world, regional security, CARICOM needs. This week we announced the 14 new blocks that will be auctioned off at a whole different model that will be nothing to what Granger model was when he signed a deal with Exxon. This deal would be at a much more profitable, much more reasonable way of doing it. We believe in the sanctity of contracts. The Vice President has said many times that, we are going to move on. The oil revenues from the Stabroek block will continue to come. It will continue to grow. It will continue to grow to over 1 million barrels a day. Guyana will continue to make money, right? So let's get off of that Exxon. Let's look at these new 14 blocks that are out there. Let's make sure the deal is right. Let's look at the opportunities. And then if you figured now, if one block and basically one operator, an Exxon with their partners Hess and CNOC, contributed what they have contributed to Guyana's growth, much less what whoever bids on that. Could be a Chevron, could be a Shell, it could be a BP, it could be a Total, could be many other major players around the world wanting to come in and hunt for oil on these 14 new blocks. Are you ready? Are you preparing? Are you building your businesses? Are you writing down your plans for growth? Are you looking at your access to capital? Are you looking at reinvesting? Are you looking at partnering? When you look at investors coming into the country, you saw the South Korea delegation came in this week. We had a US delegation in a couple days before that. We've got a British delegation coming in. All our partners looking at opportunities in Guyana, things that we may not be able to do ourselves, but partnering with our local companies. For businesses, if you're listening to this program, I really need you to study. those companies and those partnerships that they're looking for from the individuals or the farmers. You know, as I mentioned, if you know 7 new hotels going to be opened up in 2023 and 2024, are you ready to go to them for a long-term contract to provide maybe broccoli, maybe tomatoes, maybe all of it? Are you there to look at the laundry services that may be needed if they don't do it themselves? The cleaning services, the hosting services for future hotels? Are you ready to be a partner and build, come in with a few shares? All very possible. Nothing is impossible in the development of our nation. We just have to make sure that we don't get caught up in the negativity of racism. We don't get caught up in the negativity of discrimination. We may not, all of us, and I always say this in every program, your political affiliation, your political right to vote where you is always will be there. But in making that decision, for those who live in the city I live in, Georgetown, you know the deficiencies that we have lived with for decades. And we know Georgetown has been run by the PNC as far as I know. Do you want that to continue? If after 40 years they haven't been able to do the things in the city, basic things, clean drains, weed the carpets, basic initiatives, why do you think they will continue 23 to 2025? In Linden, in Bartica, the same thing. Why do you believe they will continue if it's not getting any better? So you have the opportunity with your vote, with your democratic right for a secret ballot vote in the March elections for local government, to say we will make a change, and we will make a change for the better. And we will give the PPP and the Civic and other groups together an opportunity, 2 years, to vote and to do the things that they would have committed in their local government manifesto. And if they didn't do it, you kick them out 2 years after. But 40 years, you don't have any excuse to say you're going to go back to those same people after 40 years in Georgetown, and other parts is much less, but they have not been able to change those cities. So national strategy combined with local initiatives is where the nation building is taking place under the leadership of Dr. Ali. And when you listen to him and you see his excitement about meeting someone at the local level in the village, picking up the phone, getting something done right away, we call that a hands-on president. But it's a hands-on president with a vision. His macro plans are being done, put into place by his cabinet. Budget 2023 is going to have some exciting new initiatives in it. And so all come together, give us that opportunity for a better Guyana. And, I mentioned Kaichor papers today, and, the media has a right, as always, to publish everything they feel is necessary. Hopefully it's fact-driven. But we've got to get out of the sensation. I mean, if Cathy Hughes said the debt is high under the PPP, and you compare it to Cathy Hughes' debt under the Granger failed government, your story headlines will be completely different. If you listen to Norton says we should concentrate on the oil industry only, I think that term that he used, I have it written down somewhere. It says, any president worth his salt will focus on oil. Any president that worth his salt will focus on oil. Stabrook, or Kaichor News, heard what the president said and carried the headline that Norton said we should concentrate on oil. And all of us have heard the story about what oil can do and cannot do to a nation. So again, in reporting, in the media reporting, you've got to put in place facts base. None of us are against any media. We believe in open democracy, open right to protest. Those are all, but when you do it in a manner that can be validated. Right? When Burke talks about racism in Guyana and discrimination, when an Attorney General of New York that have never visited Guyana in her life, don't even know about Guyana, never really met any one of us that is working every day in Guyana, apart from political pundits that will say anything to get some news, and for her to repeat it. Now, she is trying to apologize. And it's all about local government elections, November 8th, next Tuesday in the United States. So all of them clamoring for votes. But the clamor for votes with lies is wrong. I can see why the Granger boys and the Norton boys have aligned with her, because they're accustomed to giving misinformation, lies to our nation. And incompetence. I mean, I can always put up with the lies because you can know when someone is lying or not telling the truth. But incompetence is very difficult to put up with. Very incompetent. So listen to Norton fight among himself, fight at the Granger administration. Cathy Hughes fighting at themselves, talking about their houses and chicken coop and degrading our society. Those are incompetent pieces of their character. That is just not something that we in Guyana want. We want to move forward. I am excited about the current state of Guyana. I'm excited about the future of our nation. When you hear security in refined oil, we know the government has taken taxes off of our gasoline, diesel. They've subsidized it to bring it down to a level that we were managing with. No other part of the world is able to do that. We're going to go into energy security with our own refined oil. So our crude, our refined oil at our price, most likely way below market price, because we would have to pay for logistics and shipping and all those things to get it into Guy Oil or other tanks in the country, would be at a level that we will feel very secure going forward. We know we are upgrading the GPL system. We will struggle because during the APNU time, they spent so much money on GPL, never invested in the components that are needed to keep it modernized and revitalize the system. That got to continue to be done. We're going to be looking at the gas, as we know the gas ashore is going to come into a new LNG plant to be able to generate 300 megawatts of new power. So the reliability and all of the things that we struggle with every day, and none of us is going to sugarcoat about GPL and the need of it being fixed. Government is looking at every alternative, the renewable energy option in terms of solar power. Imagine if Granger government or Granger in 2011, when they were elected with a one-seat majority in Parliament, did not stop the Amalia Falls project, which was the time was funded, was ready to go. We would have been complaining today about GPL. We would have had 165 watts of power to offload and shed and to supplement what we have. So our energy integrated plan that Dr. Ali has outlined and is implementing right now will see all of these pieces coming together. So when we get upset at the blackout, and it's very emotional for some of us, it's easy to blame government, and government ought to be blamed if they're not looking at infrastructure. But as we put these components in place with an integrated energy plan, the goal is by 2025 to reduce energy costs by 50%. If you are in business today and you're making a profit, imagine, and you're paying high energy bills, imagine what that will do to your profit margin as it comes down. Imagine if you are a store vendor or a retail vendor or a food vendor. You've got ecotourism exploding in 2023. Hotels going across the country. Guess what? More things would have to be bought from you. So you are part of the development. You are part of our new integrated economy that is modernizing. You are part of that. If you just open a food store and you're selling 50 meals at lunch for $1,200, it may have cost you, I don't want to give away your numbers, but you're doing well. As folks get wealthier, as they get busier, they don't cook. Not good, but they don't. So the opportunities in these areas are significant. The more money in our pocket, the fact that taxes were reduced, taxes will be reduced further, subsidies in gas, cash grants, folks will take that money and they will spend it. They will put on a new room on their house. The hardware store will make money. Workers will be making more money. More people will need to be hired. Courts just opened their mega store. They expanded a lot of components of courts. So as money flows in the country, we all have an equal opportunity to get it. I keep repeating what the Vice President said. It's our job to ensure the equal outcome of that opportunity. So in the frame of government, and as you sit in your living rooms or next to your computer and you're upset at GPL, you hear the rhetoric and incompetence and stupidity and foolishness of Norton and the others out there, as you go to work and you see new roads being built, easier access, the Demerara Bridge that is going to be built across the river is absolutely needed. From the bridge that lasted quite a while, that's a new economic bridge. Imagine you getting over in 5 minutes or 3 minutes. Your work with the new highways the president has built already and is continuing to build puts more money in your pocket because you're getting faster to your logistics, to your delivery. If you were to get a large piece of paper, if you're an individual, you're a business, sometimes we don't want to write it down. What is your vision for 2025? Our president's vision for 2025 is wealth and prosperity for all Guyanese. A One Guyana platform, an economy that is boosting, agriculture that is a net exporter by 25% contributing to CARICOM, carbon credits, an exporter of carbon credits. Guyana as a stable economy, ensuring our citizens are much better. Right? That's his written down plan that he's implementing every day. What are you implementing, personally or your business? Have you written it down? If energy cost is coming down by 50%, what new initiatives in your business are you doing? If you're an individual working as a public servant and you hear the Vice President said a pay raise is coming, what is your plan? Long term, by 2025, what to do? You have survived up to now, right? If you're a farmer, and you hear about the hotels, and you hear about ecotourism, and you hear about the 25 by 2025, you hear about our president talk about joint partnerships and consortiums. Why not start looking at that, writing it down? What do you need to do between now and now to get to 2025? These are all areas that I want our program to benefit. And when the program was titled in retrospect, it's really, people say you always need to look at the past to see what your future looks like. We know what the Granger government did to Guyana in 2015 to 2020 and almost 2011 to 2015. How they stagnated Parliament, stagnated our economy, canceled projects, stifled our growth. We don't want that to ever happen again. So it is good to talk about it, to ensure that we know. If I was to draw a T-table, and on this side are where I don't want to ever see Guyana again. I don't want no Dutch disease coming to Guyana Norton. I want what our president has outlined. I want prosperity in every sector. I want every one of us, because not all of us are farmers, not all of us are miners, not all of us are in the service industry, not all of us are public servants. We all have to benefit in our sector from the initiatives by government. So our macroeconomic plan is very stable. Guyana is a #1 investment destination in the region. As I mentioned earlier, it's based on accountability, transparency, and democracy. It's based on measurable plans in every one of our sectors. It's made on long-term initiatives that will see national security in energy, in food security, in our border security, all coming together in our manifesto for 2020 to 2025, much as what 25 to 2030 looks like. The president is on a fast track to get 2030 vision and plans implemented earlier. And that's what is so exciting. The fact that we are moving at such a pace that we have to ensure that we don't fall off. We've got to get on and stay on. And every opportunity is in place to get. So look at the positives. Those who are looking for the sand and cement initiative, those are looking for the $900 million revolving fund in forestry, those with disability that is looking for the grant, those with the school grant, those are looking for more modern schools being built, looking for work in the ICT sector, looking for a shade house to build your own farm, where you can grow acres of land in one shade house. If you're looking for education higher level, the 20,000 gold scholarships. If you're looking to get into technical training at the Port Moran Technical School to learn about oil and gas and about welding and all the fabrication work that is happening around us. If you're looking to get into aqua farming and don't want to go on a boat in the Atlantic Ocean and you want to learn how to fish in tanks that is very, very efficient and very profitable, join us. Join us in the One Guyana platform. Be part of the growth of Guyana. Be part of your destiny, our children's destiny. The children is not our future. They are today. And that's why the president is investing so much in our education, ensuring that coding is in a curriculum in every school across our country. So we have a new learning of digitizing the economy. The world is changing. Robotics is going to be a thing coming very quickly, more rapidly than we think. It's not about the movies anymore. So we've got to get ready for the new world, the new environment that is around us. We've got to strengthen our camaraderie among each of us. Let's treat each other with respect. And let's work with our president to ensure that Guyana continues on its great growth and to ensure that each one of us, with equal opportunity, get a chance for an equal outcome. God bless you. See you next week.